Do gas prices have you looking at alternative means of transportation? Are you looking for a fun way to unplug from your computer? E-bikes are the answer, and they are more popular than ever. Which one is for you? Here's what you should know to find the best fit for your needs and budget. If you're new to e-bikes, you're probably wondering, how fast do they go? Technically, street legal e-bikes are capped at 28 miles per hour. Some claim to be faster than that. Just know that battery charge, road conditions, terrain, tire quality, the weight of the rider, cargo on the bike, all of these affect the actual top speeds you'll experience. From bike to bike, motor specifications will give you a pretty good idea of how fast you can expect to go. Power is a good indicator of speed, and on an e-bike, power is measured in watts. When it comes to wattages, e-bike motors run the gamut. A 250 watt motor might seem small in comparison, but that is the same amount of power that a professional cyclist sustains using his legs. With a 350 watt motor, you can expect to go 20 miles per hour over flat terrain without pedaling. A 500 watt bike can blast up most hills without using your legs. A 750 watt bike can approach 28 miles per hour. Some e-bikes have 1500 watt motors listed in the product information. Those should leave a 750 watt e-bike in the dust, right? Well, not exactly. Motor capacity is just one part of the speed equation. The battery and the controller, which is the module that regulates how much juice flows to the motor, also play into the formula. Usually what the e-bike manufacturer calls a 250 watt e-bike can run continuously at 250 watts and achieve peak wattages higher than that. Sometimes the manufacturer lists the peak wattage instead of the continuous wattage. And sometimes the continuous wattage is mischaracterized as lower than it actually is to keep the bike in accordance with the law. So TLDR, take the wattage ratings with a grain of salt. And don't worry about it too much, this isn't your PC power supply. There are two different motor types to know when you're shopping for an e-bike: mid-drive motors and hub motors. A hub motor is located directly on one of the wheels. How this works is, the battery sends the motor some juice, the motor turns the wheel, and you use the throttle on the handlebar to make it go. Riding the throttle is super fun. You get pickup for climbing a hill or accelerating to cruising speed from a stop. Hub motors give the e-bike a weight distribution that is different from a regular bicycle. It makes removing the wheel a little bit more complicated and requires a few extra tools to change the tire. Mid-drive motors give you a familiar bicycle feel since the weight of the motor is at the center of the bike. The motor kicks on when you pedal and drives the chain and gears. Now, bikes with both types of motors have different settings of pedal assistance. You can dial in how much power the battery gives the motor each time you pump your legs. The higher the pedal assist level, the faster you will go. This is really nice for hill climbing. Using a lower pedal assist saves the battery and extends the range of the bike. How far you can go on an e-bike depends on the battery and a multitude of other factors related to how you ride. Let's start with the important battery specifications. So voltage is performance output. Batteries are usually 36 or 48 volts. The higher the number, the more juice the battery sends to the motor. The other is amp hours, AH in the product specifications, and that is the battery capacity. A better number yet is watt hours, which you'll find by multiplying volts times amp hours. So, for example, a 36 volt battery times 10 amp hours equals 360 watt hours. Generally, it takes about 20 amp hours for an average-sized person to travel 1 mile across flat terrain. Doing the math, you get a range of about 18 miles on the battery. Heavier loads, inclines, wind resistance, and riding off-road work against your range. Using pedal assist, especially at lower settings, can increase your range significantly. This is how some bikes claim to reach 40 miles between charges. There's some leg power involved. Using the throttle taxes your battery at a greater rate. It might take around 30 watt hours to ride a mile using only the throttle. Nobody ever wishes they had less battery, so go big or go home with the watt hours, right? Well, not exactly. Higher capacity batteries are physically larger and heavier. This has some downside when you need to carry your bike wherever you keep it once the ride is over. One cool feature on many bikes is that the batteries are detachable, so you don't have to lug the entire bike to an outlet to charge it. Some batteries even integrate discreetly into the frame of the bike. Now that we understand a bit about the technology and the physics of e-bikes, let's get into the details about what kind of riding you want to do. For recreational riding, fat tires can mash over loose terrain like dirt and gravel, and even sand and snow. Riding up a steep incline is where a 700 watt or larger motor pays dividends. For off-road use, many riders prefer a hub drive motor and a bike with full suspension, which has shock absorbers at the front and rear forks and at the seat. If you're driving to the trails, some fat tire bikes feature a folding frame design that can break down and fit into the trunk. You also have several options for cargo carrier racks that mount on your vehicle. If you plan to ride for utility, thinner tires are more efficient when traveling along paved roads. Generally, a bike with a 350 watt motor and a 36 watt-hour battery is a good fit for riding around town. A lighter weight is usually better for an urban commuter. If you're riding to work through wet conditions, a fender keeps the water off your backside. Other extras like lights, locks, and racks add functionality when you're running errands. Cargo bags that attach to the e-bike add even more convenience. The suspension doesn't need to be as robust on paved roads, but springs underneath the seat make regular riding much nicer. If you stow your bike in an apartment or ride public transit, a folding frame is a nice option too. Keep in mind, most e-bikes are designed for versatility. Controller technology has become sophisticated enough to accommodate different styles of riding. It is just a matter of putting the bike in the proper mode with the LCD interface. Now that you know what to look for in an e-bike, check out the links below for products shown in this video and more on Newegg.com.